notice how the solenoids are faced. You've got the in, this right here, you've got the in right there. So they're almost facing the exact same direction. So you'll have the 4 wires. There's 2 here and 2 here. Grab the inside wires, put them together, and okay. Once you have the 2 wires together, there is this device that comes with it, and I think it's called the switch or something like that. Anyway, the relay, and it has a white wire and a black wire. Nope. It just has a white wire coming from it. So connect it to the wires that are going from the motors, the inside wires to the motors. I have a separate wire that I put in there. It's a black wire, and I connected it to ground, negative, on the battery terminal. This is a good connection. You want good connections for this. The blue wire goes nowhere. The green wire will connect to the outside of the fuel solenoid wire. The outside wire to the, also the outside wire to the nitrous. So both nitrous wires you're going to put together, both outside wires you put together and connect them to the green wire. There is a black wire that goes from the relay. Take that and put that on the positive of the battery. Good connection. You don't have to do it this way, but you get a good connection. The way I did it, the way they told me to do it, just didn't work. Okay, so the red wire coming from the relay, you're gonna try and get that down into the car any way you can, inside the cabin. So get the red wire through the car, just away from the mechanical things that are gonna move or cut it somehow or strain it, pull it, rip it out. I took out the pieces for the body, and I slipped it inside here, and I took it into the car. I moved this. You could actually pull this off from above to get that in. I should have warned you ahead of time that my wiring is ugly. So I brought the wire in. I just put it under things. It's underneath the mat. It's gonna go. Ignore that wire that's in the center. It goes nowhere. I just brought it in, and I put it under the plastic of the sidewall here, underneath there. I brought it around through the back, underneath the plastic still, and that's making its way over here. And this is where it gets a lot uglier. Now they said to hook up the to hook that up to the micro switch, and I did it on the pedal just because I was impatient, because I want to get out there and run it right now. Don't do it like this. It's technically supposed to be hooked up there somewhere, and you're supposed to put it on this, because when it comes down it's going to move it the way that they want it done. I did it like this just because. Okay, so it goes from that red wire to the micro switch, and this is a micro switch. It's got the little metal thing on it. It'll be a lot easier to show you with the diagram from here on that. Interesting, it won't zoom. It's kind of being a butt face right now. Okay, the micro switch. That red wire that I showed you is going to go into here on that the back side, and there's going to be a metal piece that goes like this and goes like that. So that one's going to go to the switch in the middle of the switch. The on part where you push down to turn it on is going to be where you take the ground wire and stick it to something that's grounded in the car, inside the car. I just hooked that up to a, well, you'll see this a little bit. Now this one on the opposite side is going to have a wire that goes down into, you're going to have to find a wire underneath the ignition somewhere that only turns 12 volts when the key is in the ignition and turned to the on position. When I did this, the switch has a red LED on it that didn't work very well. The reason I say that is because it was super dim and it was flashing, and it wasn't enough power to send the signal to the solenoids when I pushed down the pedal. It was just weak as frick. You don't want to do it like that. You probably don't want to do it how I did it, but it's actually okay to do it like how I did it. It's fine, it's not going to hurt anything. They actually recommend a good strong connection, and that connection they said was actually pretty good to go ahead and do. Only thing about this is that if you turn on the switch, it's going to be on. So if you push the pedal down while the engine is off, you're going to end up putting nitrous into the engine, and there's troubleshooting for that you don't want to even do. But it's, you know, it's not going to turn on because I don't have it plugged in. This is how I did it, and it worked. Because the stuff that they tell you to do, it doesn't work. I found an adapter that had severed wires at the ends of it in my house. I unscrewed it, I opened it up, I cut off the thin wires, and those are the wires you saw over there. The little black wires. They were too thin and I didn't trust it. What happens if I left this plugged in and on for some odd reason in my car and I had to go somewhere for a while? I wouldn't trust it in there like that because, you know, you could start a fire probably. These models, I don't know if your car does this, and mine sure does. Even if the car is off, anything you have plugged in is still going to have power to it. So I make sure that you know which one's positive and which one's negative anyway. This is positive. That's negative. Always. If not, you're going to make it that way. Because, like, well, the connection here, it's always going to be, when you plug it in, that's going to be the way it is. Okay, so the way I look at it, this one is the negative that I remember, and this one is the positive. So this diagram right here, let me turn this off so you can see better. Okay, so from the switch, this negative is going toward the negative of that adapter. This opposite side, on all the way to the right, from the switch that flips down, is the positive wire. It's supposed to go to the 12 volt source. I connected that to the adapter. And you'll see what it looks like, what it's supposed to look like when it works properly. I plug it into the port here. Oh, my light's not working. I have a flashlight attached to my camera, and that's what died. Okay, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to plug it in. I have 3 ports in here. This is a really cool eBay thing I found. This 2 USB, and it has 3 ports for plugs. I thought that was pretty awesome. I just happen to have a Verizon, or that's just a phone service plug that I have in there. And when it's plugged in over here, I will know that it's on. There's a port in here. That's okay. I do it like that because it's cool. It's easy to hide stuff, and right there I could plug in everything when I need it. Okay, so everything is on, except for this switch right here. That's bright red. You don't see that the way they tell you to hook it up. And when I depress the pedal, it does activate the solenoids. I'm not going to do it now because I have the nitrous on, so that could be bad for me. How you route your wires is up to you. What colors you use is up to you. I went to Lowe's to get the thicker gauge. This red one came from Lowe's. I'm pretty sure the blue one came with the kit, but I like the thicker gauge. It's easier to use. They come with these connectors. Use them. It'll work with the 14 gauge and thinner. Barely, but you'll get it to work. It's pretty easy to squeeze in. Make sure you work it in there. I trust the thick gauge. I like it. So like I was saying, this, once the pedal is depressed, you'll hear it click. This is the micro switch. This is how you know, this is how it knows when you're at full throttle. And I thought it would be a little bit more complicated. I thought there'd be like a device talking to the computer saying, hey, you know, this is where I want this is where the pedal's gonna be when it means full throttle. No, it's real cheap mechanical. You know, you just push the pedal down all the way, it activates. It's real stupid, but that's how it works. By now you would have known what spark plugs to get. I have spark plugs in there that work, but it could be kind of dangerous to run that all the time or constantly. Call Nitrous Express or whatever company you get your nitrous kit from and ask them what spark plugs you will need to use per shot technically there's supposed to be some kind of shot chart per spark plug. So if you're going to run 100 shot, they're going to suggest, okay, this is the kind of spark plug you need. If you're going to run 150, they'll say there's this. You run 200, 250, same thing. They're going to tell you what spark plugs to use. I'm going to call them and ask them which ones. So I'll be able to run the plugs I've got in there. These aren't stock plugs, by the way. I'm going to run my plugs until I can get those plugs, but I'm probably going to have to change them within the month. So always, even if it doesn't look like there's any trouble, you got to change those spark plugs, man. Also, I am running a Screamin' Demon distributor. I didn't know that until after I was installing these new cables. These are live wires. They are new, even though they're junked up now because of me. Screamin' Demon coil. If you've had your Screamin' Demon coil for over a certain 1,000 miles, a certain amount of miles, then you might need to replace it anyway. It's $100. And the spark plugs are new. I made sure a lot of this electrical is new. And also, it might be dangerous to run a stock pump on all this. They say it's okay, but I would change the fuel mapping too, just to make up for it. And just to give a little incentive, they do run, they give you at AmericanMuscle.com, when I say they, say that you bought their X charger, their supercharger, and they only run 11 pounds, 11 PSI on that, which is going to give you roughly about 130 horsepower extra added to your horsepower that you have. They give you 39-pound injectors, and you would think, wow, do I really need that for just that PSI? I mean, you said it would work for a stock engine, right? Well, they didn't tell you they're giving those injectors. It will say it on there if you're reading what the kit comes with. So that's incentive to think about that, because that's only 11 PSI. If you're running a 100 shot, it's basically like saying you're running 100 extra horsepower. So you're going to have to upgrade your fuel injectors to run safely. This is dangerous to do it like this. Make sure you upgrade. Somebody might tell you get 24-pound injectors because the stock ones are 19 to run that, but you know what? Ask American Muscle if they'll sell you the 39s. Or ask them, hey, what do I need to run this kind of setup? They'll tell you, and they can be expensive, but you know, just go with their suggestions. They might ask you how much horsepower you're trying to do with this, what shot. They don't tell you on some of the videos what injectors you're going to need, but they did do some extra stuff to make it safe. So yeah, upgrade your injectors, upgrade your electrical, upgrade your fuel pump. That is the fuel mapping when you're changing that stuff out, just to stay safe, because you don't want to burn lean when doing this. You burn lean, you are going to mess up your engine. Luckily for me, I have a modified motor pump, and it's an internal fuel pump motor. I know it's modified because I can hear the difference. I have dropped the tank and I could see it. Yeah, you have options. Don't buy the motors, the fuel pump motors from American Muscle. You can get the same stuff, almost the same quality or better. Maybe not better, but you'll get the same stuff for this car at AEM. AEM sells them, and instead of spending $400 or $500 for a fuel pump motor upgrade, you'll spend $100. So keep that in mind. You can go to Summit too; they'll have them there. But everyone's going to tell you what size is your fuel pump and what kind is it. You're going to have to drop your fuel tank to get into there to find the motor. When you find the motor, then you take pictures of it, take notes of it, find the part numbers, measure it, and make sure that you know what kind of motor it is, because when you go online, you're basing your order based off of what you remember and the notes you took. So definitely do your homework on that motor. You can't just say, hey, I want the one for the V6. I want it to be like this. You can't do that. You have to know what it is. They're not going to know because they really don't care. By the way, that blue wire that goes nowhere is for they said a TPS switch. It's going to open up your throttle at 2,500 RPM and stop it at a certain RPM, depending on what you program it at. But that's what that blue wire is for. So don't cut it off. They're probably going to suggest cutting it off. Don't do that. Just put a little plastic thing on it, wrap it up somewhere, and keep it out of the engine that's going to get it damaged or damage your engine. Just keep it and wait. If you bought a TPS switch, you're going to use that. I can upload a video for that if I get one, but technically I kind of don't need one. I just got to be more careful about where the RPM is. Oh yeah, by the way, 2500 RPM. You want to stay above that before pushing the pedal all the way down when you have your nitrous armed. You know, you pretty much get the idea. Don't go into the red with it. You've got the power, you've got everything you need, so just stay out of the red line. So 100 shot it's safe. 100 shot is okay. Well, they're gonna say it's dangerous, don't do it, you're gonna mess up your engine, but don't run it all at every freaking light. Like, you're gonna mess up your engine like that. If you're like me, you're not gonna use it that much, you only use it once in a great while, it's okay. But don't hang on it. You know, just use it in short bursts until you can upgrade your fuel injectors. And that's mainly the thing right there. You want your fuel injectors and your fuel pump. And every upgrade that you do, you're going to have to call or email Bama and tell them, hey, I did this, I need new tunes. And don't put those parts in until after you get the tunes. They will need you to data log again, both the idle and run. They won't go over 100 shot. You know, I already asked. If you want something above 100 shot, go ahead and go with a dyno. Find a dyno somewhere. I may have purchased 3 rolls of 14 gauge wire from Lowe's. They come pre-packaged. I think it's probably like 20 feet each. They're like $5 each. That's cool, dude. Especially when you need a lot of wire and it's thick and it's dependable. This is the fuel card, or the card they'll give you for the shots. To get this horsepower, you have to put those shots or those nozzles in there. Like I said, for the 100 horsepower or the 100 shot, I put the 52 nozzle on the N2O side and the 33 in the fuel side. If you want 150 shot, you need to do those nozzles, and it comes with all of those nozzles. So your kit can technically pump out 250 extra horsepower on this kit. That's more than your engine can take. Your engine can take up to probably 320 to the crank, or 340 to the crank. So if you put 150 shot, that's the max you're gonna do before you're able to break the engine, really. But like I said, you know, if you're doing even the 100 shot too much for too long, you can still break your engine. Just don't hang on it, like I was saying. The 150 shot though would be your max until you start upgrading the your bottom end, and that means your rods, your piston heads, the crank. That needs to be cast iron, and don't forget to bore the sleeves out to put cast iron sleeves in there. Make them wider, but you're not going to get any performance out of that until you use like nitrous or a forced induction to get the extra 50 horsepower for that. But at least your engine's bulletproofed, or at least up to a point. Yeah, at that point, run 250, kick some ass. This is a V6 engine that will probably be 430 horsepower to the wheel. That's not bad for being an 06, man. But in the meantime, run safe. Run as safe as you can. Don't do anything dumb. Okay? It comes with all the nozzles, like I said.